definitely very proud of the album we've written. I think it's a kind of honest representation of where the band were coming from. There's a few songs on there that we've been playing for a couple of years around the Belfast music circuit. There's a few songs that just about came together as we were going into the studio, and there's a few songs that just emerged out of the whole studio process there and then. You know, there's a good live feel to the album, which is something that we're very careful that we capture in the studio. I think rock and roll bands can suffer from overproduction at times. So yeah, I think Rise is great. I'm very, very proud of it. As regards the direction that the music's taken, it's not going to be a drastic departure from the music that you're listening to in Rise, but it's important to keep it fresh and interesting for ourselves, you know, and from that, hopefully it'll keep it fresh and interesting for the listener as well. Stepping out on stage in Belfast to our first sold out show, our first sold out audience, and seeing people down there that believed in the band from the very first days, whenever our first paycheck was a crisp £5 note, with photos of it in the Answer archives, you know, and seeing the pride in their faces and the same love for the music that we play as what we feel for the music that we've written and what we're being given the opportunity to get out there and play for the public. That's probably the lasting memory that I have of the last couple of years, you know. That and playing to 80,000 people before the Stones.
Hi guys, Paul Mahon here, guitar player with The Answer. Yeah, we got a chance to support the Stones in Belgrade. Before they went on stage, they came out and had a few drinks with us, and you know, caught a few songs from backstage. And Ronnie Wood was seen to be into it a lot, and we use Zamatis guitars, so we had a little chat about that and stuff. And they're cool guys, you know. I guess the thing about Ireland, with it being such a small space, the scene, it is quite diverse, you know, musical styles. There's lots of different bands, you know, you've rock bands, you've indie kind of bands, you've dance bands, you know, country folk. There's a bit of everything going on, and it all kind of mixes in together. But hopefully with a lot of bands getting out of here, you know, there's like Ash have gone out, and you know, Snow Patrol, Duke Special's getting out there, ourselves. All these bands can come and bring something back to Northern Ireland, and get the record labels to come and look as well, which I think some of them are starting to do now. So it's getting better. I think we'll never, any sort of fame or anything like that won't really change us. We'll always be very down to earth. I think you come home and your friends and your family are quick to pull you down, you know, put you back in your place. I think that's an intrinsically Irish thing that I don't think we'll ever lose, and we're very happy for.
Hi, my name's James Heatley, and I'm the drummer in The Answer. Whenever we kind of started the band, I had finished university, and I had a job working for a website, a tourism website for Ireland actually, and I was like writing all the text for this tourism website, and it got to the point where we decided we were quitting our jobs, so I would kind of like do some managerial stuff as before I had our manager, like making up CDs and phoning up radio stations and promoters and stuff, trying to get gigs for the band. So I kept everything. So I've got stuff from like the very first gigs, you know, and I used to keep everything. It started off as a scrapbook, and now it's like a massive box full of stuff, like, which someday I'm going to have to sit down and go through and go, God, you know, nearly everything, like every set list's in there, bits and pieces, like all the wristbands, backstage passes, everything that we get, I try to keep, you know. whenever we first went away, it was kind of, it's like anything, any job you have, you get homesick, and then we started to realize, this is the life, and the homesickness, you kind of forget about that because you're going back home at some point anyway. So nearly everywhere we go, we make the most of it. You have to, you're there you might only be there once in your life. So everywhere we go, we just play as hard as we can, and we go out and meet as many people as we can, and we just try and take the places in. I've been to America once. We went to Austin, Texas for South by Southwest Festival, and it just so happened like we were playing on the 16th of March, and obviously 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day. So we did 2 gigs on the 16th of March, and one supporting Eagles of Death Metal, and then we had the next day off. We were supposed to be flying home, but our record company was very kind, said we're not going to make 4 Irish boys fly home on St. Patrick's Day. So we were let loose on 6th Street in Austin on St. Patrick's Day, and it was pretty messy, like. Hopefully we'll be doing a lot of gigs in a lot of different states. And I think it'll be very important, it'll drive us. It's somewhere we haven't really been apart from the one time in Texas. It'll be a different way of life, it's different again from going to Japan or going to Australia, and so many different cultures within that culture as well, Get out and play some rock and roll to everybody out there.
Hi, this is Micky Waters. I play bass with The Answer. Well, I guess myself and Paul played together for, since we were 16, just cover bands around Belfast City, just your traditional cover American blues rock set, we just grew up with that music and we loved it so much. We just couldn't wait to get out of school to start up a rock and roll band, and the two of us just started writing songs, and eventually we found Cormac, and once he came out and started singing, there's only one way the band could go, he just had this great voice, and we're like, wow, this is exactly what we want. This is the band that we've been looking for. I think at the stage we were about 19, 20, so it had been about 3 years. We've been looking for a real singer. I used to sing, and it was all right. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad. But Cormac's a professional, and he really he was like the gel we needed to bring everything together. And then James we always wanted just a real good hard-hitting drummer who could, for me, playing bass, wanted somebody who could work with and lock in really tight with, and James just came along, just chemistry right away. We just played, and it was just music to my ears. It was incredible. So I guess that's how I started. I started gigging around Belfast music scene for 4 years. Took trips to Dublin, played all the Dublin music scene, and got some support gigs with some big touring bands coming into Belfast and Dublin. And that gave us the hunger, because we wanted to be one of those touring bands and get out of Ireland and go and travel the world. And I guess up to this point we've accomplished some of that, Yeah, well, we've been very lucky to tour most of the continent, most of Europe. We've played nearly every major city around Europe in support tours and on our own tours. It's been an incredible experience to go and see all these wonderful cities and get a solid fan base on the continent. We keep going back to, and it gets bigger and bigger every time. So it's getting very exciting over there for us, coming from playing 1,000 capacity venues in our own hometown and in the UK. To go to Japan and do that was just unreal. And then to get to Australia, where it's summertime all the time, was just a big party and a lot of fun. Places like South Korea that are completely alien to us Europeans, There's nothing similar about that country to here. It's just a wonderful experience, and I think we're all much more worldly people for it, There's a statue of Phil Lynott in Dublin, Grafton Street, and Philomena Lynott Phil's wonderful mother invited us to play a benefit gig in Belfast to raise money for the statue, and she became a big fan of the band, and she invited me down to pick up his bass and have a go on it and let me use it for a music video as well. And to hold that bass, you know, he's our greatest Irish rock star and our heritage, you know. If it wasn't for Phil Lynott, there mightn't have been any rock and roll out of Ireland, but we all might have been still playing fiddles by now, you know. But no, Phil Lynott he's our biggest hero in Ireland. And to hold that bass that he wrote all those amazing songs on was incredible. You know, such a good energy off that guitar. It had been untouched. It was in its case with sweat on it and, you know, scratches on it from belt buckles and same strings, you know, so it was an amazing experience. I'll definitely not forget that. Wouldn't mind it again, you know. She wants to sell it to me.